When done correctly, retrains are some of the coolest cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! How nice is it when Konami can give us a new version of older cards like BLS or Relinquished, and those newer cards end up seeing play at real-life tournaments. That is really great for longtime fans of Yu-Gi-Oh! They get to see these older cards seeing play again, but it's also nice for newer players that maybe never got to play those cards back in the day. So I love retrains when they're done right. And I think most of the time Konami is very good at giving us nice retrains. However, recently I have noticed a pattern, and there was a card revealed a few days ago that really makes me want to ask, why does Konami keep doing this? Why do they keep giving us retrains that, while cool in their artworks, aren't really that good at a competitive level, and in many cases would never see play outside of a locals? Now, for what it's worth, I don't believe that every single card release has to be competitive. I love playing casual Yu-Gi-Oh! I think people know that by now, especially with a lot of the recent duel videos I've posted, but yeah, I enjoy when cards aren't the best because it's a fun challenge trying to win with them. But for these retrains, I mean, Konami already knows people are going to be excited for them. Why not give them slightly playable effects? At the very least, I feel like they should be playable in some capacity, and a lot of these recent retrains are really not that good, and that is pretty disappointing. I think recently the first time I was thinking about this was with the Aquamador retrain, Glacier Aquamador. Now, Aquamador is obviously not nearly as iconic as cards like BLS or Relinquished, but it is an older card, one that I like quite a bit. I did play it in my elementary school deck, and it has gotten a number of retrains throughout the years. And none of those retrains were that good, if we're being honest. So when I saw a new modern version of Aquamador, I thought, okay, maybe this card will be playable. Maybe this card will be the first Aquamador to see competitive play. And then I read the effect and was like, what the hell is this? Why is this card so bad? And that was a pretty disappointing moment. Why go through the effort to retrain a card if the new version is going to be pretty bad? I just don't understand it. And then a few months later, with the Maneater Bug card that got revealed, once again I was like, okay, Maneater Bug is a very well-known card, way more well-known than Aquamador, and yet this retrain is pretty bad at a competitive level. Now, I will say here, a number of people in that video's comment section did disagree with me, and they said that this card would see competitive play, and that's fine. You don't have to agree with my analysis of these cards. I guess we'll just have to wait and see with Burst of Destiny in a few months here if this card actually does end up seeing competitive play, but chances are it probably won't, which is pretty disappointing. Maneater Bug is one of the most iconic older monsters in the entire game. People love this card, and yet the retrain isn't really that big of an upgrade relative to the other cards in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! How cool would it have been for that Maneater Bug card to maybe have a flip effect of some sort, but also have an effect that made it a good piece of generic insect support? Right now, people are playing insects a lot. We have Bee Troopers as a world premiere archetype, and in the TCG version of Burst of Destiny, we are getting more Bee Trooper cards as well. So while it might not have fit the theme of the OCG's Burst of Destiny, it would have been great for the TCG version because there's other insect support in the set. But unless you are a big fan of Maneater Bug, you are probably going to pull that comment and go, oh, that's cool, a Maneater Bug retrain, and then put it back in the bulk common pile that you have on your desk. That brings us to Propitious Warrior Lady, a card initially revealed back in August, but at the time we did not know its effects. We did know its stats, we did know the artwork, and obviously people were pretty excited because DD Warrior Lady was a great card back in the day. People played it in all sorts of decks, so it would be cool to see a competitive retrain of the card for modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, one potential red flag was that when this card was revealed, they specifically mentioned it worked with the War Rock deck, which maybe we should have looked at and said, okay, this card won't be that good. But on the other hand, you know, War Rocks are not not very powerful, so they would need a good card to make the deck better. And that kind of was where I was at when I saw this card. Oh, they're going to release a good card that's generic warrior support that could potentially be played in a War Rock deck. And I was very wrong, as were many people that tried to guess this card's effect. So here's what Propitious Warrior Lady actually does. Like I said, we already knew these stats, but it is a level 3 Earth Warrior effect monster with 1000 attack and 800 defense. This card has 2 hard once per turn effects. The first effect says when an attack is declared involving your other warrior monster and an opponent's face-up monster, you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard. That opponent's monster loses attack equal to its original attack until the end of this turn. The second effect says you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one Earth Warrior monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. Now luckily you can use both of these effects in the same turn, even though they are both hard once per turns, so that does give you a bit more of a reason to play this card. But yeah, this is basically Dark Honest, but for warrior monsters, and Dark Honest is not a very good card. Now I will say this card is probably better than Dark Honest in the decks that you could play it in, because that recycling effect isn't that bad, but it's probably not good enough to carry this card, because this card's first effect is pretty useless in almost every single match that's not incredibly casual, which is perfectly fine, but why make a DD Warrior Lady retrain if the card isn't going to be that good? At least a card like Glacial Aquamador makes sense, because Aquamador was never a good card, but this is a retrain of a card that saw tons of competitive play. I know people are probably going to write in the comment section a bunch of Earth Warrior decks that you could play this card in, and yeah, that's fine. This card is okay in a War Rock deck, but it's not nearly as competitive as DD Warrior Lady was back in the day, and in my opinion that is a real shame. I don't know about you guys, but cards like this just don't excite me as much as cards like Relinquished Anima. Relinquished Anima is not overpowered. It's not going to be breaking any formats anytime soon, but it is a very good card in decks that play level 1 monsters, and that's what I would have liked to have seen out of this new DD Warrior Lady retrain. It could have been a lot more playable, but not to the point of being overpowered. But let me know in the comment section below if this matters to you or not. I have a feeling a lot of people don't really care about this, but to me it does matter. I want to see good retrains, and it's a real shame when we see cards like this one and the Maneater Bug one where it's like, okay, now those cards probably won't get retrained for a very long time, and the retrains that we did recently get aren't that good in the grand scheme of things. So it's kind of sad from that perspective, but hey, maybe you guys don't really care. Let me know in the comment section below, but anyway, that is all for today's video. I will see you later. Goodbye.